Alright YouTube, so today this video is going to be one of those other vlog type videos where I don't really build anything, but I do consider the idea because I'm building this robot right now, so I need some type of actuators, and other than motors, which can be expensive and hard to use, I was thinking about using pneumatics for the robot as well as for some other stuff, such as just an air compressor powered by solar power, as well as, for example, other mechanical applications, powering air tools, whatever. So basically, to do this, I would get, this is a Harbor Freight 12 volt 100 psi air compressor. It's not like an air compressor, it's more of a tire inflator air compressor. And in order to make it into like an actual air compressor where I can get a tank and connect these things to it rather than just a tire inflator, which it has a little adapter for coming out of this, I would have to add a tank as well as the power supply. I have an Anderson power pole connector. It used to have a cigarette lighter connector, but I'm not going to be using it in a car, so these connectors would be more handy. Though I am in short supply of these connectors, I need to buy more before I do anything. If I can't, I could just alligator clip to that anyway to test it out, but we would have to do that eventually. For our actuators, we could use some of these pneumatic cylinders. These are the kind of cylinders that you use especially for powered exoskeletons. I made a powered exoskeleton just for like a few arms, and it had limited flexibility, though it did work fairly well enough. But I do have these cylinders taken out from it. As you can see, I don't know what the actual threading of these cylinders are, so I just kind of forced a 3/8 inch bolt onto here. It seems to hold well enough, though it's probably not the best solution. And as far as the mounting bracket, I just have some angle iron, which I bent, again 3/8 inch holes all along the ends. They do sell proper connectors for this, but they're expensive, so that's what I did. Also, another option other than pneumatic cylinders would be pneumatic muscles. They are these kind of things where you get the electrical wiring sleeves, the kind that go like this and can flex around, not as opposed to the protective wire wrap type where it's just the hose. You can't use these. You gotta use these ones, and usually I have to order these online. I can't find them in stores. And basically what you do is you get some latex hosing. You can also use silicone. Silicone is actually better than latex. I did my entire science project a few years ago on it for school. I actually went to the state competition and lost, but whatever. As far as this other end, you could have some kind of connectors here that would go to a hose, but in trying to save as much money as possible, I just got the hose. It's directly placed onto this, as opposed to this kind. This is actually one of the exact ones which I used for my science project. As you can see, this isn't as yellow tinted as the other one. It's white or clear, well, like foggy plastic, but this is the silicone one. As you can see, there was some design changes. This is a very basic design to do. There are many tutorials on how to do it on the internet. I think it's been around since the 1950s, but yeah, this is a few variations upon the design. This is the first one, obviously. As you can see that it's way more expensive. It has like this metal end cap and a bunch of these plastic fittings, as well as all the metal, as well as, let's see, the quick connect for pneumatic fittings. This is like $1, and it's pretty expensive. But this is just, you can get packs of these bolts for a few dollars and you save money. They're like 30 cents each if you buy them alone, but of course if you get more you get a discount. And just a piece of hose, you can get a lot of hose for little money, and that's why you would do that. Also, one thing is that you can see there's an equal amount of tube here as there is the sleeve. On this one there's not an equal amount, there is more tube, there's more of the sleeve than there is the tube. That's because you stretch it out and it's actually longer than the other one, and then as you inflate it, it will retract up, also helping it retract up, which is the springiness of this. It flexes, it wants to spring back here under its elastic tension. Also, these 1/4 inch bolts would be pretty easy to mount to. It is a very tempting option, though I have to get more parts for these. I haven't made them in a few years. But with those aside, let's go back to this air compressor. And okay, the first thing that I know that I'm going to do with this thing is I want to make it powered by my solar panel setup. I have set it up with a 15 watt panel and a 5 watt panel now, so I am making enough power to actually charge my batteries fully. So I want to do something with that power, and I can't really run an inverter with it. It would just be too small and impractical. But I could do this. I could have this thing, and I could just have compressed air whenever I wanted. I could compress it up into a tank. I actually had this on a tank before, but I'm considering making another one because the old one was kind of big and it would take a while for it to fill up. It was also a lot longer than the actual thing. Actually, the tank is over here. Let me bring it now. So this is the tank right here. As you can see, it has a little adapter here, and it's basically just a big piece of pipe. It's a 2-inch piece of pipe, and as you can see, one of the ends is capped all the way down here, and on the other end we just have this. And it was set up like this for a while. It did work, but this is so long compared to the other thing. As well as there's only one whole ear. One big problem with air compressors is that when they compress air, they do build up moisture in the bottom of the tank. For metal tanks, that's why they have the little lever on the bottom, so you can drain out all the water that builds up. It's very important to do that so the tank doesn't rust out and then it could explode. But I mean, this is plastic. It's actually a pipe which is made to hold water, funny enough, at 280 psi, so there's no chance of this bursting. It is glued on both the ends, and I did have this wrapped entirely in electrical tape, but I did take some of it off as I'm thinking about cutting it down. But for right now, I can just consider adding the adapters, maybe a little 2 tanks on the side. I could also buy another one of these air compressors and have both of them run together, and that would give us more volume. But again, if we're running this off of solar, we have to have more power, and I do need a charge controller still, which is going to be my main purchase of next week. It's just as I'm budgeting out this, all my projects to be about $30 a week maximum. So that would probably have to wait. And if I ever want to mount this onto the robot, I don't think I would do that, just because that would completely mess up all of the robot's balancing. This is kind of heavy. It has a big motor in it, bigger than the drill motors it would otherwise use for the legs, and it's all in this one place. Then it would have huge tanks on the side, and all that weight would have to shift with the robot in a good enough proportion. I can't really even get the robot to do very much at all right now. It can barely shift its weight from either side, though the motor it's using to do that is severely undervolted. It's an 18-volt motor running at 3 volts, but that is another thing. This would have to run at 12 volts. and I don't know where I'm going to get all that power. So if you budget it out, it would probably make more sense just to have a little air tank on the robot, and that would just fill up whenever it needed. I could just bring it back. I don't imagine running this robot for long periods of time anyway, but that would shorten its running span. Also, if it's a really good idea, I don't know. I don't really want to use batteries on the robot like lithium batteries because I don't really know how to use those. All I really have are nickel cadmium batteries, nickel metal hydroxide batteries, as well as lead acid batteries, but lead acid batteries are too heavy. So maybe what I could do is I can run it off of compressed air entirely, have a little turbine or something, but that would probably be a bad idea. It would be pretty inefficient, but it would get all its power from one source, and that could be valuable, but I don't know. Maybe like I could have like a fuel cell or something, but those usually use platinum or whatever. So that's my basic idea for right now. Using pneumatics on the robot. Maybe no. These would go good on a different robot if I ever made a powered exoskeleton again, which I might, but definitely gonna get this running off solar panel, have something to drain my batteries if at least anything else would do it.